Life can be quite tough sometimes, can't it? Full of twists and turns, ups and downs. It can be very difficult to navigate your way through, coming out feeling good. And so this channel that I've created is full of different tools and techniques to help you. Today, I want to share something a little different. I'm going to be honest with you, it's a little bit weird as well. It's a technique that I teach most of my clients to help them feel better no matter what's going on. It helps them deal with their emotions. So bring down any level of anxiety or stress or anger or any other negative emotions, not by repressing or suppressing, which we are somehow taught to do, or distracting with things like cake or wine or something like that. No, this is actually processing the emotion, which is what we are supposed to do. And it uses what's called the meridians of the body. These are invisible energy channels that appear right the way through the body. They're invisible, just like the air is invisible, but the air is still there. And these energy channels are ongoing all of the time. And the principle is that any negative emotion can get stuck in the energy channels. In principle, an emotion is only supposed to last about 90 seconds, so I understand. And yet for some people, they really persist. That's for one of two reasons. They get stuck in the energy channels of the body, or we're fueling them with our thoughts. So today we're going to deal with the energy aspect. So this technique is called emotional freedom technique. Again, it is very, very weird. I have to say, I was incredibly cynical about it when I came across it many years ago. But I just saw really great results through others. And so I decided to learn it myself. And that's why I teach it to my clients as a self-help tool to use between sessions, and also as a tool for life as well. So when things happen, you can process them rather than pretend they're not happening, which can cause all kinds of problems in your health, in your relationships, and also in your career. So processing emotions is really important, certainly not suppressing or repressing them. So the basis is that we're going to stimulate those energy points, and we do this through tapping. Now, meridian points are normally accessed through acupuncture, which is the use of needles to stimulate them. Not the most pleasant thing in the whole world. It doesn't hurt nearly as much as you think, but still, who wants needles? So this is a needleless way of stimulating those points. But because we're not going to go through the years of training to find out where those points are, we've got to be fairly broad about how we do the tapping. So I'm going to quickly show you the tapping points. So first of all, crown of the head. And notice the whole of my hand is on the crown of my head. Then there's the beginning of the eyebrow, side of the eye, under the nose, under the mouth. Chest and collarbones, really wore the wrong top here, didn't I? Under the arm and to the karate chop point here. So these are the points that we tap. So that's half of it is tapping in the right place. The other half of doing this technique is getting a phrase that accurately describes how you feel about a situation, not how you think you should feel or how it would be reasonable to feel, but how you actually do feel. It doesn't even have to be suitable for a family audience. It's just really connecting with how you feel. Part of the problem, as I said, is we pretend we don't feel what we feel. So it's really important to be able to process that well. I'm going to turn off this phone. Sorry, I should have done that already. I can hear it trying to get my attention. Right, so let us choose a phrase that people might identify with, remembering it should be personal, but one that you might kind of think, oh yeah, I relate to that well, would be a nice one to work with. So let's go with, I'm feeling overwhelmed about the amount of work I have to do. Okay, so you might choose different words that might be more in line with the way that you think, but let's go with that. I'm overwhelmed by the amount of work that I have to do. The next thing we do is decide out of 10, how strong is that feeling? So I check in with myself, right? How overwhelmed am I feeling right now? And I might go, it's a 7. It's not as bad as it could be, but it's not great. So I would say it's a 7 right now. So then we start the process. So we're going to use that phrase in a bigger phrase to do what's called the setup. Okay, so better to follow me. If you can do this along with me, you can start to feel the benefits, even if you don't have a problem with overwhelmed about the amount of work. You get what's called borrowed benefits by just tapping along. So we're going to do the setup. So even though I'm overwhelmed about the amount of work I have to do, I fully and completely accept myself without judgment. Even though I'm overwhelmed about the amount of work I have to do, I fully and completely accept myself without judgment. Even though I'm overwhelmed about the amount of work I have to do, I fully and completely accept myself without judgment. Okay, so that's what's called the setup. We put it into a bigger phrase, fully and completely accept myself without judgment. How easy do we find that? Which is why it's a really important part of the setup. We do that 3 times, and then we only use the declaration phrase and we tap everywhere else. And I want you to just imagine that you're tapping it out of the body. So it's not the same as an affirmation. You're tapping it out of the body, okay? So just get a gentle sense that that's your intention. So I'm overwhelmed about the amount of work that I have to do. I'm overwhelmed about the amount of work that I have to do. I'm overwhelmed about the amount of work I have to do. I'm overwhelmed about the amount of work I have to do. I'm overwhelmed about the amount of work I have to do. I'm overwhelmed about the amount of work I have to do. I'm overwhelmed about the amount of work I have to do. I'm overwhelmed about the amount of work I have to do. I'm overwhelmed about the amount of work I have to do. So that's the whole cycle. What we do now, close our eyes, take a really deep breath in, filling the lungs, holding that breath for 4 and then out for 8. So in, hold, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then open your eyes. And then just check in with yourself. Right, what level is that overwhelm now? And for some people, that overwhelm will have just gone completely. Some people, they actually laugh that they should have felt overwhelmed, although I think that's quite a common thing that they do feel overwhelmed. But it can feel so silly that they felt whatever they felt is just completely gone. Or it might have inched down. It might be that it's gone to a 6 or a 5 or something like that. That either means you just have to repeat it, or the phrase isn't quite right, or there are layers to the problem that need to be addressed. So if the phrase isn't quite right, it could be as simple as, I'm so overwhelmed by the amount of work that I have to do. Why can't people leave me alone? Might be how the difference that makes the difference for you. And notice how I'm putting emotion in the way that I say that as well. So if you put a bit of emotion in that reflects how you feel, that will have an impact on the effectiveness. So basically, you repeat this whole process until that level of distress comes right down. Now, I'm happy with a 2 or less, because with a 2, you can kind of manage it. If you can get to a 0, all well and good. But you may have noticed that round, as I call it, only took a couple of minutes. So it doesn't take very much time to feel better. And the great news is that when the number is really low, you then put in what you want instead. So this is what you call a choice phrase. So a choice phrase might be, my favorite is, I choose to feel calm and resourceful. But a lot of people don't like the word resourceful. It means a lot to me, but it might not mean anything to you. So let's choose the other one that people really like. And that is, I choose to feel calm and confident. Okay, so it's a very similar process. So again, do with me. I choose to feel calm and confident. 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 Sorry, wrong top. I choose to feel calm and confident. I choose to feel calm and confident. I choose to feel calm and confident. Now, again, closing your eyes, take a really deep breath in, hold that breath for 4 and then out for 8. Hold, 2, 3, 4, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And just gently opening your eyes. And now checking in with yourself again. How am I feeling now? And normally people feel, wow, that's even better. Now you may be thinking, why don't I just do the choice phrase straight away? Well, it's a little bit like if you're ever doing a spring clean and you think, oh, there's way too much around here for me to clean up. I'll just kind of put a bit of air freshener in the air and put those pile of papers there and a rug covering up the rubbish. The stuff is still there. You might have done a few tweaks, but the stuff is still there, ready to erupt at the most inconvenient moment. You know, those times when you explode to the wrong person in far too big a way about something very small. That's because you've been what I call tidying away your emotions, and then they explode really inconveniently. So what you need to do is take out the negative emotion by processing it, by doing the original tapping, and then putting in the positive emotion. That way you get a much better effect. Now, when you practice this regularly, what happens is not only are you dealing with emotions as they come up so that you don't get a toxic buildup inside, but you're also building an internal reserve so that when bad things happen, which they do because that's kind of life, good things happen too as well, by the way, of course, that means you're in a much better position to deal with them in an elegant way. When I have clients who are extremely anxious, I tell them to use this technique 10 times a day. And they usually look at me as if I'm a crazy woman. And the reason I say 10 times a day is because when they use it regularly, it will be in their psyche. They will be able to remember it more in times of need. When somebody is very anxious, they get what I call an emotional hijack. When you get an emotional hijack, it's really hard to remember things that are useful. So getting into a habit at the beginning, say, I don't know, for a month or something, doing it 10 times a day, you're building in the reserve, but also you're building into your psyche that you've got this tool available, and it'll be much easier to remember when you really, really need it. And part of the 10 a day is to do it first thing in the morning. And this is my favorite thing. So if you can do just this, it's going to really help you in your life. So first thing in the morning, better attached to a regular habit that you have, such as brushing your teeth. And the reason for that is because you'll remember it. If you always brush your teeth, hopefully you do, then you will remember to do this as well, because you've linked the two. So this is what you do. You go, right, how am I feeling today? And maybe you're feeling still angry about the argument that you had last night. So you go, even though I'm still angry about the argument that we had last night, I fully and completely accept myself without judgment. And you do the whole process around whatever you're feeling that you don't want to feel in the morning. Remembering we're not suppressing, we're processing. But let's say you're checking with yourself and you think, actually, I feel pretty good. So then look towards your day. What have you got on today? And is there anything that's causing you any concern? And you might go, oh, God, that report to do. I hate those reports. So even though I'm dreading doing that report, I hate doing it. I fully and completely accept myself without judgment. So you're making the doing of that report less onerous, okay? You work on whatever you need to work on. Let's say you're feeling fine as you wake up. Let's say your day's looking pretty good too. Then you get to do this. You get to say, I choose to feel this good all day. I choose to feel this good all day. And then you do a whole thing about, I choose to feel this good all day. So that gives you a baseline reserve for the day. Now, of course, if something terrible happens, it doesn't mean you're going to swan through necessarily, but you'll go through it a lot easier than you would have done had you not done that first thing in the morning. So it's a really great way to start your morning routine. Now, there are many ways of doing this technique. The one that I've shown you today is the quickest and easiest. So my philosophy is if something is quick and easy to do and effective, then you're going to remember it more. So there are other forms out there, but this is the quickest, easiest, and most effective and easy to repeat. Okay, so that's why I've done it. Now, it looks horribly complicated. I'm aware of that. So I do have an instruction leaflet. Once you've repeated, by the way, if you email me, and there'll be details below for you to email me, I shall be very happily send that to you. But once you've repeated it a few times, it becomes really so easy to do. You don't have to even think about it. And you can use it for negative emotions. You can use it for cravings. You can use it after a row. You can use it before you think you might need a row with somebody to address something that's been bothering you. There are so many ways that it can be effective in your life. I do hope that you found it helpful. Do email me for the written instructions. It will make life a lot easier for you. Practice it as much as you can. Let me know how you get on in the comments below. And do please like and share, because this is such a useful tool and it's absolutely free to use and really can make all the difference between getting through a difficult time and not. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do that too. Thank you.